Goliath, Raging Bull, Wrath of Rakshasa, Max Force. What do all of these have in common? They're all at Six Flags Great America. So today, we're going to be making a tournament of all these roller coasters, and even more. And for our first matchup is the Flash Vertical Velocity versus Max Force. Now, this is a really close one because both of them are amazing, but I gotta give it to Max Force here because the launch is so much faster and it just feels like you're teleporting. The Flash can get a little bumpy sometimes, which is why I'm not choosing it. In Max Force, every element on it is so fun. There is a downside though, the length. It has to be so much longer. Then it could be one of the best coasters in the world. Our next matchup is the Raging Bull versus Viper. Now, these both are airtime gods, and it's really difficult to choose which one has better airtime. But I just gotta give this to Raging Bull because it's so much faster, smoother, and has more quality airtime. While Viper has a lot of shakier moments, but it also has a lot more quantity airtime. And that double down on Viper is really good airtime. Now, both of these are astounding coasters, but I just gotta give this to Raging Bull.
The Joker versus the Dark Knight. Joker and Dark Knight are two coasters with similar characteristics, such as the whiplash and the way you get thrown front and back, side to side. The main difference is the direction you get thrown in. On Joker, you get thrown front and back, and you never know what direction you are going in. On Dark Knight, you are thrown side to side. I feel like Joker is the better of the two because you get a less repetitive and a quite unique and thrilling experience.
For our fourth matchup, I am going to do Superman versus Batman. Now, both of these rides are so fun, definitely top 6 for me, but Superman just edges it out. It's because it's so graceful and the pretzel loop is so fun. While Batman, it basically feels the same, except it's just in a different position, a little bit bumpier, and there's no pretzel loop to make it that fun. Now, both of these rides are really good, but still, I just gotta go Superman. Our next mashup is very special. It's X-Fight versus Wrath of Rakshasa. That's right, the new for 2025 roller coaster. It's around 170 feet tall, and it has the world's steepest drop on any dive coaster. This is surely going to be the best drop in Six Flags Great America, and it can reach speeds of up to 67 miles per hour. This is going to dominate the park, and honestly, I think though they have the same amount of inversions, this dive coaster is just going to crush X-Flight.
Up next, we have a competition between Whizzer and Demon. Both of these rides are lower-end thrill rides. Both of them also have a really great history. For example, Whizzer is one of only 2 of its kind in the world. I will have to give this one to Whizzer just because it's so much smoother and Demon throws your head against your restraints. Whizzer is so much smoother and is a much more needed family coaster.
Our 7th matchup is the battle between American Eagle and Goliath. The American Eagle is a very good, exciting roller coaster. It's supposed to be racing, but sadly, it isn't racing anymore. This Intamin manufactured roller coaster is a really fine ride, and it's a good fit to the park. On the other hand, Goliath is a well thought out coaster. RMC was great with this coaster, and this is a perfect addition to the park. Goliath definitely wins in this matchup.
Next, we have Sprocket Rockets versus Little Dipper. Both of these are kiddie coasters. Even though Sprocket Rockets might be a hidden gem kiddie coaster, as it is hidden from view, I still have to give this one to Little Dipper. Little Dipper has such a long history with the park, and even though it's almost 100 years old, it is still pretty smooth, and it actually has some really fun elements, such as the sudden drops.
Bracket winners: Max Force,
Raging Bull, Joker,
Superman,
Wrath of Rakshasa, Whizzer,
Goliath,
Little Dipper. Bracket losers:
Flash Vertical Velocity, Viper,
Dark Knight,
Batman,
X-Flight, Demon,
American Eagle,
Sprocket Rockets.
Now to start off the second round, we have Wrath of Rakshasa versus the Joker 40 Free Fly Coaster. Now, the Joker, I've been on it. You get thrown back and forth, up and down, and it is crazy. It is so intense. But Wrath of Rakshasa, with the 96-degree drop on a dive coaster, it just looks so much better than Joker, and I gotta give this one to Wrath of Rakshasa.
Our next matchup is between Goliath and the Raging Bull. Now, this is a very popular matchup that people do, and I personally think that it's the Raging Bull, just because it has more airtime, better airtime, and just has a more flat-out fun drop, faster, and it's just a longer experience. Goliath has more inversions and has great hang time on that stall, but I just gotta give this to Raging Bull.
Our next matchup is between Whizzer and Little Dipper. I have to give this one to Whizzer just because even though they're both really good family coasters, Whizzer is just slightly better. Whizzer is a little longer, and I just feel like Little Dipper's a little too short.
And for the final matchup of the second round, we have Superman versus Max Force. Now, I gotta give this one to Max Force because it has the really fast launch. I love speed. And also, the pacing is just so good, every element, especially that Heartline roll. And Superman, although it's really fun too, with the unique flying position and the pretzel loop, I just gotta give this one to Max Force.
The next matchup is between Wrath of Rakshas and Whizzer. I have to give this one to Wrath of Rakshas just because it is a lot more thrilling of a coaster. It has 5 inversions and a 96-degree drop, which is record-breaking for a dive coaster. Whizzer has long history, but it just doesn't compete with a dive coaster.
And for the final matchup of the Final Four, we have Max Force versus the Raging Bull. Now, both of these ones are very close in my opinion. One day I like Max Force, the other day I like Raging Bull. But today, I'm just going Raging Bull because the drop is just so much better than the launch. And also, the airtime on Raging Bull is so much better, and I really like airtime, and I prefer it to speed.
Bracket winners.
Wrath of Rakshas,
Raging Bull.
Bracket losers.
Whizzer,
Max Force.
Our final matchup of the video is Raging Bull versus Wrath of Rakshasa. Wrath of Rakshasa is a dive coaster with a 96-degree drop and it's around 170 feet tall. But on the flip side, Raging Bull is 202 feet tall with a 208-foot drop, and it's just a lot more intense on the valley, I would guess. I have not been on a dive coaster, but what it looks like is Wrath of Rakshasa is going to be a really great coaster. But in all, I have to give this to Raging Bull just because Raging Bull seems like it's going to have a bigger drop and it has more airtime and more floater airtime. Though Wrath of Rakshasa has 5 inversions, Raging Bull still takes the cake here.